colonialists who were prosperous at our expense. We want everybody to be prosperous. The whole world, global, universal affluence. That's what we want, and we know this is good for everybody. When somebody in the world gets out of poverty, I benefit here in Uganda. You need examples? When China was getting out of poverty, raw materials here went up in price. The price of steel per ton was $200. But because of the big boom of building in China, it went to $900 per ton. Cement went up. The price of cement. The price of copper went up. So we are benefiting from progress in China. Here in Uganda, we are benefiting from that. I don't know why some people want to be the only ones who are in a good life. This is really bankrupt. It's ideological bankruptcy. As we talk of South cooperation, we should also intensify North-South cooperation, so that, for instance, and this is already happening. I've told you, here we've got a lot of products. An example of milk. We have so much milk here. Then we got some investors from India, South. And then we found that in America, in the USA, they need some baby foods or something like that. And those baby foods need a protein called casein, which we get from milk. And these factories are exporting to the USA now, exporting that protein. So, South, North. So on the side of South, in Africa we are moving well. CFTA, Continental Free Trade Area. But now we have BRICS. BRICS, this is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Plus, adding on, trying to add on other countries. That's a good effort, which we should encourage. But with the USA, with the European Union, we already have AGOA, African Growth Opportunity Act. So when these companies from the Philippines, from Indonesia, from wherever, from China, from India, invest here, produce products, this should be sold in the USA, using our raw materials, using our labor, using our electricity. The only thing they are bringing is capital, entrepreneurship, and technology. That's all. Then we shall be able to export to the USA and AGOA, to the European Union, under EBA, everything but arms. This is what I think is needed for ensuring global affluence. Don't fear everybody being rich. don't continue with the win-lose mentality. We need a win-win mentality. And it will benefit everybody. It will expand the global economy massively.
South-to-South cooperation can enable us to overcome various challenges, including the lingering severe financial and capacity gaps that have obstructed attainment of our development goals. Your Excellency, the 3 days deliberations have centered on 1. South-to-South triangular cooperation programs, projects, implementation experiences, and progress made to date, challenges encountered, and proposed solutions. 2. We focused also on economic resilience and development financing. We also looked at accelerating implementation of the Global Agenda 2030 SDGs and Africa Agenda 2063, using existing frameworks, mechanisms, and systems of UN agencies, AFDB, Islamic Development Bank, as well as South-to-South arrangements with countries such as China, Saudi Arabia, Brazil, OECD, and countries of the North, such as the United States of America and Japan.
We congratulate ourselves and member states also for signing the MOU with our colleagues, the Rwanda Cooperation Initiative, to galvanize South-South and triangular cooperation programs for achieving Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, and of course the Agenda 2030 for sustainable development. We also appreciate the efforts made by our colleagues at the European Union and other partners, including the OECD, who launched the APRM OECD Public Governance Program to improve policy coherence for sustainable development. And we are glad to announce that the Sierra Leone, Uganda, and Ghana have announced initial readiness to collaborate with the APRM in this program. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, during this 3-day conference, the delegates underscored the importance of the SDGs, and we will soon receive the draft ideas that have been put together by a drafting committee to constitute what could be the communique for this event. And of course, the delegates further recognize that the second edition of the forum is taking place within complex international context, which also will be discussed, presented as part of the outcome document. And the forum also noted the growing interest in South-South technical cooperation programs, and thus urged for more horizontal South-South cooperation with tangible results.
Distinguished delegates, as you may know, Islamic Development Bank is the only multilateral development bank whose entire membership is coming from the Global South. South-South cooperation is in the DNA of the bank, of the Islamic Development Bank. At the operational level, the Islamic Development Bank championed South-South cooperation among its member countries since it started its business in 1975. Therefore, we were very pleased to be a co-organizer of the second Africa High-Level Forum on South-South and Triangular Cooperation for Sustainable Development. Distinguished delegates, this year's forum comes at the middle of several development challenges. However, during the last 3 days, the countries from the Global South have shown remarkable commitment of solidarity to help one another to respond to emerging development issues. The enriched discussions during the forum sessions were very informative. We knew, for example, how the southern countries are working towards strengthening their national ecosystems for SSTRC and how they are using SSTRC as effective means for achieving the SDGs.
It came out very evidently because, Your Excellency, as you definitely know, looking at the demographics of Uganda,
there's definitely a lot to cooperate about, but what are our priorities that need to be highlighted? Investment, of course, key. Integration, it is one thing to speak about them at the international level, but integrating the South. Invite Professor Eddie Maloka, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the African Peer Review Mechanism Continental Secretariat, to start us off with
of our program, Honorable Amos Lugolobi, the Minister of State for Finance, Planning and Economic Development.
Your Excellencies, the Deputy Chairperson of the African Union, as I outlined earlier, I take this honor. We looked at the idea of improving trade and industrialization. The following are some of the key highlights of the forum deliberations. Outcomes in development cooperation. The support provided by Asia and Latin America. The forum urged the Global South to explore ways.
to all the others that did receive their certificates. Right after that, I am going to request that you move slowly, and protocol will lead us. You're moving slowly and take a group photo.